Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking, coming to you with another video review. I hope you're all doing well. I'm excited to tell you about the game that I'm going to be telling you about today. That was a really weird sentence. Anyway, the name of the game is Evolution, and here's a picture of it. Alright, I don't have a picture of it, I apologize. This is a game that is going to be in Kickstarter, well, like right now, I think, if I get this thing published on time. What the game is actually has its roots in a game that I've played, actually. A game called Evolution Origin of Species, which is a card game about developing your own, well, species of animals. And this is a refined and revised and better game based upon that earlier version of the game. It's kind of neat. This game, beyond the game, and I'm going to show you how to play the game, and it's a lot of fun. But this is kind of cool because this game is being published by North Star Games, a game company that is better known for its party games, which are excellent, by the way. I urge you to check those out. But this is their first foray into kind of the whole designer Euro card board game market, and I really hope that this takes off for them because you know, they definitely are a quality company. They put out quality product, and I'm looking forward to what is in the future for their company. But anyway, what Evolution is basically each person is controlling one or more species of animal, and they're giving them traits. They're mutating them, they're changing them, and they're in basically fighting the other players that are playing the game. It takes 3 to 5 people. You are doing battle, if you will, mostly for the food. There's a limited amount of food that is available to each species. And as you get that food, you're trying to basically have as much food as you can, because food is points. You know, it may sound weird, but basically after every turn, what happens is that you collect your food cubes, whether you use them eating plants, or if you actually ate your opponents, or yourself for that matter. I'll explain that when I show you the game. You take the food cubes that you spent feeding your species, and then you place them in a bag. And then as the game progresses, eventually you run out of cards, and then you will have the end of the game, because the game is based on this, like, excuse me for a second, this giant deck of cards that I have here. And once you're out there, you play like one more round, and then whoever basically fed the most animals, and also you get to put your like population of your animals in the bag and count those as points as well. But whoever basically was the best at feeding their creatures wins the game. So that is like kind of the real bare bones nutshell summary of the game. But let me show you how to play it. It won't take long at all. This is a card game that it has a lot of very simple rules, but a lot of really deep gameplay. Something that if you've watched some of my reviews in the past, I'm a big fan of games that have the simple rule set, but layer upon layer, the peeling of the onion, if you will, type of gameplay, which this game does have. So, okay, how to play Evolution, and then we'll be back here in my gaming dojo, and I'll tell you what exactly I think of the game. Alright, here we go. Okay, I'm going to show you how to play Evolution. To begin the game, each person is going to get one of these cards. This is your species card. You can see it has a 1 through 7, and it has a population and a body size. And you'll get these 2 cubes. It'll mark where you are, and you obviously start at 1. As the game progresses, these will go up or down, and with a maximum of 7. If you ever go down to 0 population, your species is extinct, and you have to discard it. But even if it's your last one, you still get to introduce another one in the next turn. You will then also, as the game progresses, you will undoubtedly introduce more species, and I'll show you how to do it in a little bit. But when you place one, you'll just place it down to either side of the species that you have, and then you'll just put the cubes on there like so. If you ever introduce like another one, which you very well are likely to do, you have to, once again, put it on either side. You cannot slide it into the middle like so. You always have to build them up to either the right or the left of the existing species that you have. The placement of the species is actually very important due to the fact that there are traits that you'll be able to give your species that will actually affect like the species to either side of it, or the species to the right, and so forth. And so it's important as far as the placement goes, where they are, and because that can affect the game. After you've got your first species and ready, you pick an active player, which is basically the first player, and then each person gets, and this is the same at the beginning of every round, you get 3 cards, plus 1 for every species that you have. And so for the very first round, you will get 3 plus 1, 4. Everybody gets 4. And I'm just going to show you the one. I'm not going to show you everybody, but just we can imagine this is a 4-player game, so to speak. So after you get your cards, you take a look at them, and each of these is a trait that you can give to your new species that you're building. However, before you decide to play any cards at all, every player has to look at the cards that they have in their hand, and they can hold cards over. There's nothing that says you have to play all these cards. There's no hand limit, so you might have cards left over if this wasn't the first round. They're going to take a card, and they're going to play it in the middle. And the number that's on the bottom right, as you can see on these cards, you can see there's a 3, 0, 4, and 3. The number that's on the bottom right will be the amount of food that will be contributed by that card into the middle for all of the animals to be able to feed. And because obviously you need food to survive. Now, it's so basically what you're doing is you're giving up one of your cards. And so you have to look at them and not only figure out how much food you want to get put in the middle by your action, but also an ability that maybe perhaps you decide you don't want, or don't want as much as the other ones that are available. So like horns, carnivores that attack the species lose a population. Camouflage, only carnivores with good eyesight can attack the species. A long neck, receives 2 plant food from the food bank when all the food cards are revealed. That's pretty good. Like a hard shell, plus 3 body size when being attacked. The bigger you are, the tougher it is for you to eat, right? So these are things that you have to make up your mind. So, and I should mention, obviously you're looking at this is art and what have you, and this is what you see in front of you. This is a prototype, so this may or may not be indicative of what the final product will be. Just keep that in mind as I show you how to play the game. So we'll take this card, and I don't want to get rid of camouflage even though it's 4 foods, so I'm going to take the hard shell, which has 3 food, and I'm going to put that in the middle. Now some of you might be wondering, why would you ever put one with 0 food out there? Well, there are some instances where you might want to be trying to starve out your competition, because the least amount of, if you are, say, a carnivore, you're not eating the plant food that is being created by these cards. You are eating the other animals. And so in a way, maybe you don't want them to have, because remember, food is points in this game. So the less food that is out there, and if you're like a carnivore-driven player, the better off you might be, because you have access to eat them, but they don't have food and they can't get points. But anyway, so, and we'll just represent, like the other ones, we'll just go ahead, and everybody else puts a card in, so there's 4 cards in the middle. So now it's your turn, and you're looking at these 3 cards, and there's 3 things that you can do with a card. You can just put a card down like so and say, now my animal here has a long neck. That's its trait. You can have up to 3 traits per species. If you ever have 3 traits and you want to replace one, you have to just basically discard it and put another one down instead. So the other thing that you can do with a card is, and I should mention, when you put a trait down, you do put it face down, so nobody else knows what the trait is. So they can't, know, if I put a carnivore trait down, they can't know that, oh my gosh, I better do something to be able to hide from the carnivore or whatever. And you'll all reveal them all at once. But I just put that face up so you can see what it looked like. So you can put that face down if you want to do that as a trait that you're going to add to your species. If you discard a card, if you discard it face up, there's one of 2 things you can do. You can either, if you discard a card, you then get to add another species to your tableau. You just put that down, as I said before. You put the cubes down, and now you have another species, and then you can start, if you want, right immediately with, you can put a trait for that one, and so forth. Or you can discard one face up, and you can use that to increase either the population or the body size by 1 on an existing species that you have. And so in this case, like we're gonna go like long neck like that, and I like camouflage because it's pretty cool. What that does is if somebody is a carnivore, they can't eat you unless they have good eyesight. So we're gonna go. That's another trait. We're gonna put that face down like so. And we're gonna put horns down. We're gonna increase our body size by 1. So we're bigger, and it's tougher for us to be eaten by carnivores. So after everybody's gone, everybody reveals their traits. So you'll turn them over like so. And then what we'll do is we'll take these 4 cards and we'll start our feeding phase by looking out these 4 cards everybody contributed, and we'll total up the number and we'll add that to the pool. So here's our hard shell, 3, there was a cooperation, 4, so 7, 10, 13. So there's 13 cubes, and nothing else is done with these. You just put them over to the side like that, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 13. And starting with the active player, we will then start to do the feeding. But remember, as you can see, you remove 2 plant food from the food when the food cards are revealed with long neck. With that trait, we get to take 2 food and we get to put them onto our creature here. However, we only have a population of 1, and no matter how big you are, you only eat 1 food per population. So we have 2, but we don't use 2 because we only need the 1 to feed this dude, and he's done. And if we didn't have this ability, we obviously wouldn't take that, and if this wasn't there, on the first turn what would happen is that we would just take 1 food out of the middle and place it like so, and then the next person would go, and the next person would go, and the next person would go. And so maybe like another 4 are gone, and then these would be left. And if everybody's fed at that point, you go on to the next turn, and the food that is in the middle stays in the middle. It doesn't rot away. It doesn't go anywhere. Now, if, for example, somebody was a carnivore, and you do a carnivore through having a trait, and the trait it just simply says this, it is a carnivore, and you just put that on there like so. And that now you can't ever then eat plant food. You can't ever be sustained by greens. You got to actually attack and eat other species. Now, let it be said that if you have another species, say let's say we have this, and this is like yours as well, and let's just put these down like so. You can eat your own other species if you so desire. You can attack other people and eat them, but you can actually sustain yourself by eating your other a creature that you're creating as well. And when you eat another creature, let's take this guy off like so. The first thing, to be able to eat another creature, you have to, 1, have the traits necessary to defeat any sort of defense it had. So if this had that, remember I had that one with the camouflage? If you have that, you would need to have the trait that would actually give you the ability to see that, which is the keen eyesight trait. Or I'm sorry, good eyesight trait. Like so. And so with the good eyesight, you can see on the bottom there, it says negates the effect of camouflage. It negates camouflage. And you have to have a bigger body size than what you're trying to attack and eat. I'm reminded of watching tons of dinosaur shows with Rylan, and they always talked about how the big plant eaters, the reason why they were able to survive when they didn't really have horns or weapons or anything like that, like the big Brachiosaurus and stuff, was they were just big, and so that made them tough to take down. So we have a body size of 2 versus body size of 1, and so then they get to eat that. Eat this particular creature. Now, the food that you get from it is equal to the body size of the creature that you're eating. So let's just say, for example, we had a population of 4 with this, and we had a body size of 4, and this one had a body size of 3. So when you eat it, you get to take 3 of these red cubes, and because they're big and chewy and oh so yummy, and we go ahead and put those down like so. When you successfully eat another creature, you will reduce their population by 1. Makes sense. You're eating them, you're taking them down. So if you are doing this kind of symbiotic thing, you're going to be discarding cards to increase the population of your own species, so you can maintain the other one that you have. And, you know, for example, let's just say we also, because of the long neck and the ability, we were able to feed this one as well. So after all is said and done, either by that everybody has eaten, or, like, you know, like we just have no food, at this point, you would, like, look at each of your animals, and you would see if you had managed to feed them to satisfy their population. In this case, we did, because we actually ate more than we needed, you know, because of the fact that we actually got eaten and knocked down. But in this case, we didn't. For whatever reason, we didn't attack with the carnivore. We didn't eat and get another 1 food, and so we had to reduce our population like so. If for some reason you don't eat anything, no matter where you are at your population, you lose the species. It goes extinct in that situation. So you got to make sure, obviously, that you feed your animals so that they maintain and they survive, and they can continue to score points for you as the game progresses. It should be mentioned that if you do have like, say, that same situation where you didn't feed this one at all, if you do have a situation where an animal goes extinct, you do get to draw, like, you discard all the traits that are associated with that particular species, and then you get to draw the same number of cards that you had to discard. That's so, like, if you do get kind of stuck behind the 8 ball and your animal dies off, it gives you a little bit of a bonus so you can get back into the game, to prevent, like, you know, the fact that, like, you continue to lose just because you don't have any cards to get going again. At this point, you collect all of the food that is on your species, like so, and you place it in one of these little bags, and each person gets one. And those are points that you're gonna count at the end of the game. And then what you're going to do then, after you've done that, if you haven't gone through this deck once, you will just continue to play. You'll do the same thing. You'll do those exact same rounds, or those exact same turns that I just explained to you. But you do actually change the first player to the person on the left, and then it goes around the table like so forth. Once you get through the deck, that you'll play 1 more turn. After that, you do shuffle the discard pile and you play 1 more turn, and then you finish the game. To find out who wins, you go ahead and you look in the bag and you count up the number of cubes that are in there. For every cube that you have, every food cube, it's worth 1 point. And then each species at the end of the game that you have is worth points equal to their population. So, like, if you had a 5 and a 7, that would be 12 more points. You're most likely going to have more than 2 species at the end of the game, but in this case, that would be your bonus points that you would add to this. As with any game, whoever scores the most points will then again, therefore, then be the winner. If there's a tie, the person who has the most food in their bag is the winner, and then if there's still a tie, the player with the most surviving species is the winner. But that's how you play Evolution. I suppose if you still tie after that, you could play the game again, but most likely at that point you're just going to call it a draw. But there you go. That's a real good overview of the rules and how you play the game. But let me tell you exactly why I enjoy this game so much. I don't have a game box. Okay, so I can flip one of these. I actually got that. Okay, cool. I'm glad I had that on record. Alright, so that's the game Evolution. That's how you play. So I mentioned in my introduction the fact that I really like the whole like simple but deep gameplay. And that's what I'm going to kind of focus on as far as my selling point of this game. Now, all the game is you know, these cards that I showed you. And you know, here I'll show you this. There really isn't that, you know, there's several different types of cards and they do lots of different things. But like here's like, you know, and all of them like have their different powers in it. But it is the way that those cards kind of interchange with each other, and how you stack the different things together and create your tableau of like species that are powerful or work well together, and also work well with your opponents as well. This isn't like a cooperative game per se. I mean, there's only one winner, but it's a lot of things where you can't really make your own species and just kind of hope that it works. You kind of have to look and see what other people are building, and then you have to kind of combat what they do. If somebody else has a lot of species that are scavenging all the plant food before you can get it, then you probably need to go carnivore and start eating those suckers, because they're eating up all the plant food. The same goes in reverse. If somebody is going and like being a carnivore, like you either have to fight fire with fire, or you need to come up with some really good defense, for yourself. As far as like, either raising the population of your species so that they can't knock you down and knock that species out of the game, or just having good defense, like constantly changing up what you have. The whole process of like putting the plant card out there, like how much food is going to be available, is also I like that as well. I mean, the secret, put the card out and see what everybody else picks kind of thing. I love being a carnivore and like but you can put out like, it's weird. It's like a balance. It's like you don't want them to have a lot of food to eat because you want to be able to eat them and like get all the cubes, but you don't want them to be able to get cubes, if you follow my drift. But you can't, if they aren't out there, then you can't eat anything. So you kind of have to maybe like kind of feed your food, if you will. It's kind of it's a weird semblance. It's like there's a lot of like neat little decisions that you have to make as the game progresses that I really, really enjoy about this game. Plus, the whole idea of like creating your own animals and whatever is like something that's just fun anyway. A few years back, there was a game called Spore that was like that kind of thing where you mutated your little animal. You created this little being out of like theoretical nothingness, and you got to kind of develop it. Now, this is more like abstract, if you will. But you do get to like kind of mess around. It's like, oh, okay, I'm a long-necked, hard-shelled, climbing creature. It's like, and so you kind of try to picture that in your head, and it's like, well, that's kind of a neat idea, and like, but and so it's just kind of like the fun little like things like that you can kind of come up with and kind of play around with in your head, and also just like in discussions with the people that you're playing the game with. The bottom line is, it's a very competitive game. It's a very you're not tending your own garden. I say that in a few things, and you are like being directly affected by the other players of the game, and you are in turn directly affecting them. And it is very competitive. It is a very player-driven game, and I enjoy that a great deal. I kind of go in swings, and I've had quite a few reviews lately about that I've purposely mentioned that I'm really like kind of on a conflict game kick right now. That's not to say other games aren't fun or anything like that, but right now this one just kind of really hit my wheelhouse really well. I recently took this game with me to Free Comic Book Day when my local game store had like a night of gaming or whatever. I played this and I showed it off to a few people that never played it, and they are all having a lot of fun. They just kind of enjoyed the theme of it, if you will. And I really do, that's like one of the last things I wanted to mention. I really do like, just I mentioned the whole creating the creature thing. The theme is just really fun. You could have made this about, pirates making cooler ships, or aliens making cooler spaceships, or cowboys and whatever. You could have done anything, but the fact that it's just has that kind of Darwin-esque evolution idea to it, I really enjoy that. I really enjoy the quasi-science, if you will, behind the game. And and you can say anything you want as far as does the game need to have a good theme for it to be good? No, not necessarily. But a really good theme goes a long way to making the game enjoyable. So ultimately, I really enjoy the game. It plays fast. It plays furious. It handles up to 5 people, which is really good for my gaming group. You can play the game 2-player, and it isn't horrible. I've played the game 2-player with both my daughter and my wife, and we both had a lot of fun. Or I should say, the 3 of us have had a lot of fun when we played a 2-player. But I do think the game works better as a 3 to 5 people, and I think it's specified only at 3 to 5. I could be wrong about that. But with 3, 4, and 5 people, I played it with that. Like I said, I play it with my wife and my daughter, and we play 3-player. We have a lot of fun putting it together and having fun. And my daughter likes to name the creatures that she comes up with, which is, of course, adorable and cute, me being her dad and all. So, there you go. Evolution from North Star Games. The Kickstarter is... If it isn't live right at this instant that you're watching it, it will be in mere moments. I strongly suggest you go and check out the Kickstarter page, see what you think. And if you think this is something you and your gaming group will enjoy, I heartily recommend that you plop down some of your hard-earned income and get your own copy once it gets published. If you have any questions or concerns, by all means, you can ask those, and I'll answer those to the best of my ability. And I'm positive that somebody from North Star Games will be more than happy to answer the question as well. As always, I thank you immensely for taking the time to watch my video. You have an awesome day. I know I will be. All right, goodbye.